for about 4 years. And if you come to our booth, you will see my husband is the main person in this hobby that we're in. We actually started out, a lot of people say, how'd y'all get into the dragon business? Let me just do a quick overlay. How many of you have bearded dragons? Okay, how many of you want a bearded dragon? You're just here just in case. Well, at the end, we will invite you to the booth if you want to hold any of them, play with any of them. We'll actually let you take some pictures and stuff. It kind of makes it a little more exciting for the kids. Got some exciting things going on with these dragons right here. And I just want to kind of preempt too. We're doing this a little different. I'm going to kind of do this shorter than usual because I'm going to have my husband come up on the tail end. We're going to tag team and talk to you about the Euros. Have you ever heard of Euromastics? Are you familiar with them? Well, that has kind of been his new direction lately. He's excited about them, and it's kind of just a little intro to Euros for people that aren't familiar and just to kind of see what they are. Okay. First thing we're going to do, we're going to talk about fire up your dragon. There are 4 key things I'm going to talk about that help your dragon get fired up. Now, if you're familiar with dragons, fired up is a reptile term. When they are happy, they say they're fired up. Have you ever heard of that? If you ever see a dragon, its colors are brilliant, and it's right up there by that lamp, most of the time that's when they're fired up. A few things help them fire up, and one is actually this little guy right here. This is a Dunner. It's a kind of different dragon in that its scales, its shells, it's like he said diamond shaped, so it's kind of different shape than the regular dragons. And when you pet it, the other dragons you pet down, this one you actually pet more up. So you actually pet it differently. But the reason I brought him is he is shedding. First thing about our little talk is when they shed, that helps fire them up. So if you would notice, I'm going to bring it close to you, as the skin is coming off of the dragon, you see the dark pigment is coming off with the dragon. So a lot of times when you get the dragon, see how it's brighter right here and darker right here? And that's because when it sheds, that actually helps fire it up. It brings out more of its color. The dark pigment actually comes out with it. And you can see different parts shed at different times. This one, the legs have already shedded, and part of the head, now the body's getting ready to shed. This also helps them grow. It's kind of like they get a new skin each time they grow some more so that it's bigger to fit the dragon. So the first thing on how to fire up your dragon basically is the shed. The second thing we want to talk about is, now just so you know, it's all ed endings, so I'm going to ask you towards the end what you think it is, okay? The second one is their bed. And that's, of course, that's the environment. So that matters a lot for the care and keeping of a dragon. If you go to our YouTube channel under Dramatic Dragons, I did a study with the vet and asked him, because we were bringing 5 dragons that each one had different things going on. What do we do not to bring our dragons to you? So what do you see them most for, and how do we avoid it? 2 key things he said that happens a lot with dragons. We see it more in winter for us. One of them was the respiratory, was one of the #1 things you'll see dragons on, and that's where they kind of have that hard breathing. Usually happens in winter. We've had a couple that had it. One actually passed. Our best dragon, Lucia, we lost to the respiratory. And we were so sad because we had just taken her to the vet. We thought she was getting better. She was mobile. Everything looked great. And then she didn't make it. And so you want to watch that. When you start feeling them when they're breathing with that mucus stuff, that's what that is. The second thing he said is dehydration. Amazing. We think we're in Louisiana. Why would dehydration be a problem? It's so humid here. What's the issue? The fact is, they still have to be hydrated, which your dragons are hydrated by, we hydrate them by bathing them. You put them in warm water up to their neck, so it's lower when they're small, and then it's higher as they get bigger. And that's how they get hydrated. If you can do it every day, that helps them. Okay? We do ours about 2-3 times a week, just because we have so many dragons. So that you also can spray it. A lot of people have tried to put the water in their cages. We haven't had success with that. We just find they poop in it. Okay? So it was a problem. So we don't do that because they don't see well. So they don't know how to take still water. So we spray their nose, and they'll run down and they'll lap it up, or we'll spray the sides of the cages, and they'll go and lick that. So those are good ways they like running water to bathe. Something like that. Well, let me show him before you go. I want to show y'all Skylar. This is my daughter Skylar. I want to show you her dragon. We had a Dunner, which gorgeous Dunner, that we bred with Dinah, which was a red citrus, and made some beautiful babies. But every now and then you'll get silks. This is a silk dragon. If you've never seen a silk dragon, I'm just going to have her kind of show you and look at it. It's very, very smooth. Requires a little more maintenance than a regular dragon. You actually have to lotion them because they can't get their backs dried because not good for them. The other thing is when they shed, are you with me? When they shed, unfortunately, this one's been good, but there's sometimes, like, because of the gooiness of their shed, they actually can lose a toe or something sometimes. So it's just a little harder for this particular model. But they're beautiful. That's one of the most beautiful dragons we've ever seen. And Skylar has taken to that one, named it Jelly Bean. So gives it a little more personal interest. I hope you don't mind. I like being much closer over there. Okay, so the shed, the bed, a few more things about their bed. The temperature is a big deal. When I talked to the vet, he was about 10 degrees off from what we had ours at. The thing is, you play with the temperatures to see what they're happy at. One thing we found that's very helpful in the cages is having a dimmer. We had a dimmer with the light, so you have to keep changing bulbs to get it right. That worked beautifully because it was too low, you could turn it up, too high, you turn it down. And by the way, if they ever get respiratory, they recommend you turn the lights up a little bit and then they leave them in there longer to build their immune system higher so that they get out of it quicker. Temperature. For the hot side, the basking side, the vet recommended about like 86 to high 90s. We actually keep ours 93-ish to about 103. So either one actually works. You just kind of test it and see which one your dragon is happier with. The other thing about it is the floor we want to talk about. A lot of people know these dragons come from where? Well, the desert, Australia actually, is where they first came from, which is sand. So you're thinking, man, they'll be great in sand. Well, for the babies, they don't really know how to do their food with the sand. And if they get too much sand in them, they literally can get impacted. Which is a problem because they could actually pass away from getting impacted. So we recommend more smooth things. A lot of people have done just square tiles. We like butcher paper because you can actually cut it to the size of the cage. When they go, the liquid doesn't go through. You just take it up, throw it away, and put another piece. So that's been a kind of easy care type thing. I know Miss Lynn over there sells like the carpet type things. That works good too. You just throw it in the wash and take it back out. So those are good bottom floor items. We usually put a log in there, so if they really want to bath, they can get close to the light. And the cool side is usually about 85-ish degrees, and that kind of works for both sides. For the bed, he's kind of about 75 is what he was at for that one. But still, within that 10 degrees, we're usually okay. Okay, we talked the shed, we talked the bed. The next one is what? What do you think? How they're... Yeah, someone should have gone out with some critters right there. Should have had her demo. Because a lot of people... What do y'all feed your dragons, for those that have them? Crickets, mealworms, superworms.
And then I got cactus, and then I got
The hornworms. Do you have a
giant,
hornworm? Let me
yes,
show
like
them. I want to show those. Have y'all seen the hornworms?
the giant gummy worm.
They are super cool. They come this big. Now these are actually almost full grown. Usually when you buy them from the original Horn Lake people, they'll come in about this big.
She gave me a taste.
Yeah, and you actually want to store them like this because that way when they go, it's on the bottom and then the food is on the top. These worms will get, you see these are almost as big as you need them to be. They can get up to 4 inches long. And to the dragons, they are a treat. They love these big hornworms. Now you don't want to get them, these are tomato plant worms, but you don't want to get them that way because of the parasites. You want to get them from a controlled environment. So these are so wonderful for the dragons. They absolutely love them. Would you go get that? Because I'm going to wrap it up and you're going to bring in Juro. Okay. So we talked, now fed. Let's talk a little more about the feeding. That was kind of quick for you. We actually talked to the feeders here, and we've talked to them at other reptile shows. What is the best feeders for dragons? And the number one feeder they recommended were the dubias. Are you familiar with dubias?
They're unfortunately a type of roach, which I don't like that. But they're kind of stupid roaches. They're more like little roly-poly bugs in that they go in the corner, they'll die off. They don't live forever like our cockroaches here. Okay, so that's a good thing. And the calcium and the nutrition in those are like, they did an analysis. They sent both the crickets and the dubias to be analyzed. The calcium and the nutrition in there was almost at least double what they got for the crickets. We do crickets as a last resort because you can find them everywhere, but they stink. So we actually like the dubious birds. And then which worms did you use?
Reptiworms.
Reptiworms are one of his favorites to use. So fed, we do greens in the morning. A lot of, you can shred things, fruit. One lady we're dragging just loves bananas, so it's up to you. You test them. I just think everything, just like kids. If kids say they don't like a veggie, we have a 2-bite rule. They have to at least try 2 bites. Okay, and my kids like more than most kids. So the thing is, just like your kids, you got to keep putting it in front of them. And eventually their taste buds will change sometimes, but it's like the one thing you don't want to feed dragons is spinach. Because it stops the calcium from being absorbed, and it's just, they need the calcium, especially for girls that have reproduced, and just for their bone structure. Last thing, we talked about the shed, the bed, and how they're fed. And the last one is how they're lit. You know, you can train your dragon. We have talked to several people that come up to us that have trained their dragon to do different things. One lady has gone above and beyond all others we've ever heard of. She not only trained her dragon to have free reign to be paper trained in the house, not go in 2 rooms, by the way, okay? This dragon would look in the rooms because mother-in-law was in one. So it would look in there, see her, and then just go right by. But this particular lady trained her dragons to swim. She would press the water. Now, it wasn't chlorine, okay? You have to get water, salt water. That was okay for the dragon because you have to watch them. They're very sensitive. So she did, in a saltwater pool, would tap the water 2 times and the dragon would jump in and go swimming. So that was super cool. But my favorite thing the same lady did is she had a remote controlled boat. And she would put the dragon on the boat and then they would be gone. And it looks like this dragon is driving the boat in the pool. So she showed us a video of it. And I'm like, we have got to put that on YouTube. I haven't seen it yet. But it's just super cool that these dragons can be trained. I really believe these dragons are one of the best pets you can ever have. The cool thing about them is that they have personalities. And until you start trying and testing and working with them, you don't know what that is. And at this point, I'm going to change it over to my husband, Tom, who is now kind of going from dragons to Uromastyx. And you're going to find out some key things about that. They're super cool, but vegetarian.